Hello, welcome into another edition of Chi Time TV. Don't know why I'm singing. It's the morning maybe, and I'm relating to the birds outside. And with me here on this episode is energy psychologist Nikki Gresham-Record. Welcome back in Chi Time. Oh, I can't even speak. Nikki.
Hello, lovely. Good morning.
Oh, so Nikki is an energy psychologist and author and all-round amazing mother and partner of the lovely Rob, who's just been helping us behind the scenes. So thank you so much, Rob. But Nikki's also a Qigong practitioner teacher, and that's how we met. We met doing the Qigong. So we've got this project here that seems to have really want to come through us. And anybody that saw last week's show would have known that we're on the path to wellness and healthfulness with these incredible items of clothing. Now, I was just blown away. I don't know if you've seen that episode. It is up on Chi Time TV. Do subscribe if you haven't already to get notifications about what's coming up next, because there's so much that we need to share on these kind of channels at the moment. The truth is out there, and we are here sharing it. So we had Dr. Wai-Ching in, who is meant to be part of this call. We don't quite know where she is, so we've just messaged her to say that please do come in when you're ready. She was part of the Chi Time last week with Cheng. We were talking about the benefits of negative ions, which I'm sure a lot of you know about with regard to being out in nature and the healthful it's almost like chi-ful. I often refer to negative ions in the air as being the chi in the air. What do you reckon, Nikki?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's sorry, I'm just sharing our video in my group.
Thank you.
It is. It is. So healthful. So we I like to kind of consider us and see us just as energy beings inhabiting this kind of physical body, and a lot of my work is about utilizing that energy. So I work a lot with the emotions and so on, but also we're clearing these kind of lower density consciousnesses, if you like, from our bodies and beings. And so when we feel into the body and we can feel a layer of density, for me the negative ions is all about shifting that lower kind of density, clearing the body, coming into a healthful balance. So if you think about being out in nature, like you say, in that air element, there's that expansion in the body, and there's that spaciousness and that freedom. And for me, the kind of negative ions takes us into that potential, that possibility.
As you're speaking about that, I'm feeling there's a graciousness here as well. That feel of spacious grace, that we're not compacted and contracted in our bodies. We have this expansive quality. As you say, your energy expands out of your physical body into the air. And we don't want to be afraid of the air. Air is part of us. We have an intimate relationship with it. We breathe it in and out of our bodies. It is so important for us to breathe healthy air. And how to do that in this day and age. If you're in cities, if you're in towns, if you're driving the car and you've got your window down and got lots of exhaust fumes coming in, I'm sure a lot of you have aircon, but it's that kind of being aware of the air quality that you're in, because we can't always be out in nature. But how can we replicate that in our homes when we've got all these hidden toxins like the Wi-Fi's and the EMFs and the things that we are only just learning about, really, the effects on our bodies long term. I think this is a really important point, isn't it, to bring up?
Yeah. This came into my awareness, Cara, about 10 years ago. So practicing as a psychologist and energy psychologist, I had a couple of clients come to me who were extremely electrosensitive. So just could not tolerate pretty much anything. One was extremely sensitive, couldn't tolerate anything. So it kind of awoke me to EMFs and how they can impact our bodies, and I had to look at it, I had to understand it. But it was interesting because it was coming to my field. So I've had 4 or 5 clients kind of over the time who are electrically sensitive, and actually I'd consider myself to be electrically sensitive. And I think, you know, because we're energy, there are energy fields that can impact us negatively. And having looked into this, there are tens of thousands of studies that have been compiled and put together to express, to understand that these energies that are out there have an impact on our physicality, on our bodies, on our immune systems, on the quality of the blood. And so this kind of coming back into the negative ions, this is a way in which we can partially shield, but it's more about creating a positive environment within the body that balances and rejuvenates the body against these kind of external stresses. So if you think about the environment, even if you take it from, you know, moving away from the air, but you think about, you know, the chemicals that we're putting into the body that have come in through the water, the hormones that are in our drinking water. You know, there's a huge toxic load that's come from our food sources, pesticides, and so on, that we're absorbing into our bodies all of the time. So that puts an impact on our liver function, our kidneys. You know, our bodies are having to process huge amounts of toxins. So the negative ions clothing, for me, is a way in which science has shown how our bodies can absorb these negative ions, and what that does is increases the kind of T cell responses. It increases our circulation, it improves the immune system, it improves the blood quality. So it's not just kind of the air base, but in terms of physically supporting the body. I'm loving this stuff. I'm loving this stuff. I'm really excited to kind of bring it. And as you've said, it's just happening so organically. I think these things come to us and we piece things together. Yeah. We were just talking before the call as well about why this has come to us, why we're doing this now. So to be, you know, completely authentic. You know, we've both got stupid busy lives, both on a life kind of mission in some ways to bring through our work. And yet, you know, as I was saying, the book that I wrote, it came through at such a pace. There was not much I could do about it. It wanted to come through. And it feels like this clothing is happening in the same way. It's just, we've got so much going on, and yet it still wants to come through. It's almost like, come on, you can do this.
So which is why Nikki and I have teamed up here to support one another, because as you say, we both have a lot on at the moment, and we were having to say no to some projects as well, but this one just feels really like essential for humanity to come into the potential of being able to wear clothing that is healthy. And as an ex-costume designer, I'm just like thrilled by this. You know what? We're not talking about fashion here, although some of the items are really look pretty cool, pretty stylish. This is much more about what you're wearing every day, because you're saying the EMS, if you're electrically sensitive, you're exposed all the time. And it's like you can go out for a walk for a couple of hours, but you come back into it again. Even if you're turning your Wi-Fi's on and off and stuff, you still have got that in the system that we're in, wherever, you know, if you're living next door to people that don't turn their Wi-Fi's off, don't get me started. But anyway, this sort of electro pollution is not respected enough for the damage that it can be doing long term, even though, as you say, Nikki, there are thousands of studies that are pointing to this. It's not being picked up by governments. So these extraordinary items, which we're going to play with a little bit more now, so following on from the last interview we did with Nicholas Cheng and Dr. Wai-Ching Lee, which is more about the science and how the company was built up from the creating healthy clothing or items for the victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it's like, you know, what can help here, and having remarkable results there. So we wanted to make it practical for you. You know, this is the thing, they're made out in Asia. I mean, we've had to import them here. There's nowhere in the UK you can actually buy these, which is why Nikki and I are going, okay, right, so can we do this? So this is why I said thank you to Rob right at the beginning. Rob Record is Nikki's husband and a very dear friend of mine, and got on it last night and has got us a website, which is nefful.uk, nefful.uk. And it's a landing page for you if you're interested to drop your contact details. And there's also links to the last interview, but also links to the main Nefful catalogue and articles that have been written by Nicholas Cheng as well. So we're on it. We're here to help, but we are a fledgling organisation. So please bear with us. We have heard you. Those of you that have already said that they want to find out more, we will get back to you really, really soon, because now we have a website. Yay! So for those of you who are interested, the clothing that we've been playing with, so right at the get-go, so we've known Dr. Lee for a little while, and really behind what she's doing, she's got such a central channel of integrity, discernment, and divine light love that it's an honor to know her. And so we trusted her, and it's like, okay, because she found out about these items for us, and we're curious, and it's like, well, we can't really do anything with them until we've tried them for ourselves. And so this is where we teamed back up in the early summer, was it? I can't remember when we did that, but with it, time is just
it will
and to actually bring some items through so we could have a response and see what they're like for us, because that's the way we work. So Nikki, what was that like for you when you first opened your Nefful bounty bag and started playing with the items?
Yeah, I've just loved them. I have to say, I've really just loved them. So should I say how I kind of came into this? Because it's always kind of through these organic means and networks. But just at the beginning of lockdown, my dad was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer, was given kind of 6 months and an indication that the chemotherapy would be about 25% potentially effective in terms of holding it off. So that was a bit of a kind of blow and shock. So I went into Rob, my partner, had cancer, which he fully recovered from. So I went into okay, so I understand all about natural potential and possibilities, as I did with myself. I healed myself of lupus, so autoimmune disease, don't have that anymore. So I know and trust in the power of the body to heal, and in the power of nature to support us in that healing. So there was there's a big backstory, I guess, that leads us to this curiosity, what's out there, what's possible. And then this connection with Dr. Wai-Ching was lovely. So she was like, have you heard about this Negative Ions clothing? And there are people that are healing from cancer using it. So I'm like, okay, tell me, show me. And I went into a lot of webinars, understanding the science. My dad is an engineer. He's all well and healed now, by the way. So my dad was an engineer, so he needed to know how it worked, why it worked. Really made sense. He's a very practical man. But he was faced with this, it's not my time, I don't want to go. So, he was curious, which was the gift, and I think all that was needed. But yeah, we looked into it. So I have to say, just to be very clear, transparent and authentic, that it was a lot of kind of looking into. There's items of clothing and bedding and so on are expensive, though they do last a lifetime and can be passed down and handed over. But they took a little while to kind of, for us to get our heads around it, get the order in process. And he'd actually gone a remarkable way through juicing, herbs, healing, and so on, using his mind to move through that process. So he'd already done quite dramatically well with the healing and with the recovery from his first scan before the negative clothing had arrived. So it wasn't all about the Negative Ions clothing. It was a lot about herbs and nature and using his mind and healing work. So there is that. However, that was the reason that I looked into it and that I was curious. So he had it for his second lot of 3 rounds of chemotherapy. But what was interesting is that he'd go back to the doctor each week for his chemotherapy, and they'd be trying to monitor how the chemotherapy was going, and he's like, I'm fine. And he was out in his garden doing his pond, fixing his lawn, doing the fence, building a wall. It's a bit of like my dad and what he's like. But I remember Rob going through chemotherapy, and he was wiped out, and most people are wiped out, from my experience and what I've seen in the clients that I've worked with. So he managed it remarkably well. He never went neutropenic through that process, and he was on very high doses of chemotherapy. So there's been a specific kind of, for me, observing and witnessing, I am a believer that it really assisted his body in managing and boosting his immune system, just helping him to navigate and helping him to helping his organs to detox and so on. So that was kind of an observing kind of place. From observing it with someone that I love, for me it was lovely knowing that every evening he's wrapping himself under this blanket, and I know that it's doing him good. And he wearing, specific garments and underwear, and there's the layering up as well that's important if anyone is using it for excuse me, health recovery type issues. So there's that. Then I ordered in some garments as well, and you're wearing one of the scarves that I've got. I just got that in another colour as well. Yay. But and this so I'm wearing all negative ions. This is negative ions.
So Nikki, I'm just gonna Dr. Wai-Ching is going to be coming in. She's just hooking in now, hopefully. So that'll be really good. But to hear that story of your dad being a practical man, but taking it on and having those responses that he has had. And what was coming up for me here is, those of you watching as well, that it's not just one thing that helps. We have to do this multi-dimensional way of self-care. This, the diet, as you say, is important. Keeping your stress levels down, getting enough sleep, high quality water. And now we're adding these negative ion clothing. It's like it's another piece of the energy healing jigsaw puzzle, really. And I love what you were saying about if you're going through chemo, that this actually really helps with the downside. Because how many people know they're going through chemo? It's like, it's just almost not worth it because it's so debilitating. Well, if these clothing can help you with that, then that's a massive bonus, massive boon.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was remarkable that the doctor was amazed at how well the chemotherapy had done. But sorry, I breathe. But yeah, no, I just so healthful. And personally, as a I'm extremely sensitive as a energy healer, practitioner, reader, and intuitive. But when I wrapped that scarf around me for the first time, it was just like this big warm hug. It was just like, I love the feeling of it and the quality. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, they're really thick. And I'd say there's a density and a lightness at the same time. I hear it feels like I've got these, I'm being held on my shoulders, but there's such a lightness around it too. It's like, I've never experienced something like it's not just warm, and they are warm, and as Nicholas was telling us, they are warm or cool depending what it is you need, but there is that holding. And how many of us really need holding right now? Yeah,
I love that it's passive too. It's this is a negative ions clothing. It's actually described as an undergarment, and I got
the little top on,
the pink, and I have the body wraps, which I won't show you right now. But the body wraps are lovely as they give that double layer. So for me, in terms of my healing, I've had little gallstones that I've had for, I think I had a scan a couple of years ago. So it's a long time. I've had these gallstones, and I've been juicing and using kind of astringents and things to just kind of help the gallstones, and they do, if I keep at it, they do. But when I stop, if I have a break from all of that, then they tend to come back again. So I've been wearing kind of the wraps, particularly around my kind of organs, around my gallbladder, and I don't have pain anymore, Clara. So I've got the body wrap and these on, and I've been sleeping in the either the body wrap or vest tops, but I don't have pain anymore. So
This is like you were saying, that it puts the body into a place that it can, where it can heal itself. And I mean, in the chat that we had, I explained my experience with my ankle that had been a chronic pain for a long, long time, and it's just not anymore. It's like, wow. So it
yeah,
is this putting your body into the optimum place to heal itself, because that's what bodies do when they are healthful. That's the normal
exactly.
state.
Exactly. So when we give the body the conditions, and this brings in all of Bruce Lipton's work about the environment. The
Yes.
environment is largely about the energetic environment, of course, the kind of toxic environment within our bodies as well. And it's that turns the genes on or off for disease. So when we create the conditions for our bodies to be healthful, and we've got all of these, I mean, it's through the clothing on the skin, particularly,
Yeah.
especially over the meridian points, which is where
Mm.
the wristbands and knee guards and things like that can be
Ankle joints,
healthful.
yeah.
But you can start to create a, a healthful environment in the body. So strengthening the immune system does its job properly, the hormones start to do their jobs properly. And it's just like, what a gift. What a gift.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
it
So
sounds
no,
like,
I'm really excited.
yeah, really, really good. Emily's, sorry, Dr. Wai-Ching Lee is having a little bit of trouble getting on, so maybe we'll have to do this another time with her. So we're just going to
Okay.
continue here with Nikki Gresham-Record and myself chatting about our negative ion clothing and waxing lyrical. So no, but it's true. When you find something that works, you want to share it. And I know some of you already have got in touch with us and want to find out more. So, as I said, neffel.uk is the place to go to. And this, like, we were going to have a chat. Okay, so this is a contentious issue, right? So we might as well dive in. The issue of masks, which I fundamentally struggle with because I don't think it's good. But having said that, I use this little baby, which is my little neck roll, which I put on and off if I have to. But I just think that having a statement on your face of being muzzled is not something that I want to encourage in our world. And there's all sorts of information and statistics coming through to say that they do not work for what they say they are working for. It's actually not. And all this is going to come out in the weeks to come. All these lies that are being proliferated in our society are going to come to light. And but having said that, in order for the kids to stay at school, people to be at work, just at the moment, our society says that this is what needs to happen. And so there's instances of people having, lung disorders because they're not, the whole mask hygiene isn't there. We've got teenagers with acne around their mouths. We've got people with sores. This is not a healthy way to be. So those you having disposables are not great, and also you don't want to feel suffocated either. And that's what I like about this. The neck roll is it's fine. I don't feel like I'm being blocked in the fresh air. And I know, Nikki, you've got a couple of young sons, haven't you, that are at school? You want to sort of tell us your...
Yeah, I was just saying that it's yeah, I mean all the science is there that shows that they don't help at all, and can be dangerous. So yeah, in the beginning we Amalia shared the masks, and to be honest, I can't do masks. From the very first time that they were introduced, I wore a scarf and I would get claustrophobic, and it's just something about me, and maybe it's just the principle of it, but I was literally going into a panic. I was in tears in the shop. I like within the first one, kind of just like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I just can't do it. However, yeah, so my eldest, they have to wear masks in corridors, and he's just started to get all spotty, and people are struggling. So I've given him one of these negative ions masks that are actually super breathable. And we were just saying we can get these. We can order these and potentially make them from these fabrics. So there's potential there for us to do something that feels actually health giving.
And we were just saying, weren't we?
Yeah, they can even be used. So these products, there's been photographs of people using eye masks, particularly, which are made out of the blanket material. So generally, these negative ions fabrics create about 10,000 units. And I use this, I double this over and put it on my pillow to sleep, which just feels lovely. You have to feel it to understand how it feels. But these fabrics, can be doubled over and created. The blankets generate 200,000 units of negative ions, which is a huge amount of ions. So blankets, beautiful to sleep on as well. But we can order in some scarves and get these created and made up. And so it's a potential for anyone that has to wear a mask. I exempt myself, so that's also a possibility. But for our children and anyone that has to or feels that they want to, the fabric's just lovely and health giving. That's what I was going to say. So I saw photographs of people who are using it like a facelift, who are having it on their eyes to generate actual vision health, but also to use as a facelift. They're just so health giving. I mean, I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. And I've looked at on Nicholas's page, who you interviewed last week. He has a little what's called Real Stories. So we've linked that onto our neffel.uk website. And there's lots of people with health conditions that have described the benefits of these. And that's coming from a place of disease. But in terms of the healthful benefits, then yeah, I'm really quite excited. So people are saying that wearing these is healing the acne. So it's helping the skin to recover. So
That's so good, isn't it? So it's like a salve, and also
yeah.
highly washable. In fact, washing these items is really key. To use the correct detergent, so we don't want any bio in there. It's got to be very neutral and at a low temperature, and frequently. So it's not like you really want at least 2 masks if you want to go down the mask route. So you've got one for the day, and then you've got one washing for the next day. So, and the other thing is about not putting them in tumble dryers or not putting them on heat. So you want to keep the integrity of the fabric. But all of this information comes through us. We'll help you with all of that, and also from Neffel itself. They're a super supportive and just there with any questions that you have. We just feel that support from Nicholas and Cheng as well. That it's like, and Dr. Lee. So we're going to have to get her back on again, another stage, to come in and share her stories, because yes, she just left a little note saying, "Have fun with my Neffel scarves," So, but she has quite a range, and in fact, on the last interview that we did, I was going between her and Nicholas, and every time we came back to her, she had something else on, or she'd wound it around in a different way. She's a super creative lady. So I think it is you can have fun with this healthy clothing, and know that you're doing yourself good. You really, really are. So great. So if you want to find out more, head over to neffel.uk. Nikki and I will get back to you with what can be done next, because we do have some news. So we're doing this now. So again, there's this urgency of like, you got to do it now, girls, got to do it now. It's like, really? And we were saying that orders for Christmas time need to be through before the 23rd of November. I know not a huge amount of time, but at least some time. And then we find out that they're moving the goalposts. Do you want to talk to us about why it is probably an idea to order some in now rather than wait till the new year?
Yeah, so the system's changing a little bit in terms of it's mostly about inviting people to become members. So you pay a small membership fee, which is about, I think it equates to about £31, £32. But then that gives 20% off of the retail prices. So if you look at the current, this is so Clara and I are trying to kind of navigate how can we best do this to serve when we've both got kind of, you know, a lot going on. But obviously it's coming through us whether we like it or not.
We do like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too good not to be shared, isn't it? It's just,
Exactly.
it's
That's
too good
the
not to be
thing.
shared.
Yeah.
So it is expensive, but there's the prices are going up in January. So there's a 10% being added. So while you get 20% off, prices are going up 10%. So if you do order before, I mean, you can order if you're not looking for a Christmas delivery, you can order up to, you know, before the end of January. Sorry, before the end of December.
Yeah.
But if anyone wants orders, it takes a little bit of time to get the shipping over, and you know it's going to be better for us to navigate it in one large shipping rather than lots of individual shipping, and you know we're navigating the customs taxes and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and that's part of what we've been doing behind the scenes before we brought it to you, is actually find out about the practicalities, because the first time these items have been brought into the UK, and of course it was in the middle of the last lockdown, so it was quite an interesting thing, but we're getting there, and as I said, they are
Yeah,
really helpful.
yeah. So for anyone going forward, if anyone's like, oh, I'm interested and wants to take advantage of a 20% discount now, it is just like a £30 sign up, and then you'll get 20% off of those retail prices now. So that you'll still get that after January, but the prices are going up. So it's worth at least experimenting if you're curious, if you're drawn. You know,
Exactly.
neither Claire or I are big into sales. So, but if you're curious, if you're drawn, then it's worth kind of exploring, and maybe even starting like getting the big item. Is the blanket for me
It's the blanket,
is
yeah,
the
that was the one that
hugest.
was, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just if you the blanket together with the pajama set would be
Yeah.
the biggest capital kind of outlay, but it's going to have the maximum benefit. And
Of course, because you're asleep at night, aren't you? One of the things that we haven't
yeah,
reminded about here is that that idea of moving, that when you're moving with the fabric and having layers of it, so as you say, pajamas and the blanket and the sheet, you know, you do your subtle movements in bed. You know, as Nicholas was saying to us, it isn't just the big movements; it's the micro movements of the blood vessels and the breathing. That's enough to stimulate. So while you're asleep, when you're very open and vulnerable energetically, you're actually in a healing cocoon. And yeah, and if Dr. Wai-Ching was here, she'd be demonstrating her crazy face mask thing, but we will get her back on again and we'll do it again. So yeah, we
yeah,
can bring more items to you like that. But the other thing is, if you are in the UK and you're around either near where you live, which is Midhurst, or where I am in Somerset, and you want to try out what these feel like, then maybe we can organize some kind of yeah, meeting. Is that even legal? Oh God.
well, I tell you what, Clara, when you
Well,
do order, if you were to even just order become a member,
yeah,
you get sample blankets, don't you? So
you
this
do.
is what I've
That
been
is
doing for a long
true.
time.
Yeah,
So you get a sample sheet. So this is the Serenity Blue, and I've been
yeah,
sleeping with this to start with. I've been sleeping with this on my skin, on my
yeah.
around my
That's
kidneys,
true.
around my back, and
Yeah.
then one over the front. So you get
Yeah, but we got a couple of items
yeah,
in first. I think I got this beautiful blue, which I wear so much, particularly when I'm on the computer, because of course I do so much work like you do on the computer. So knowing that I've got that on, and that I experimented with that, and then I got the, as I said, the famous, that I'm not leaving home without my ankle support, and of course the arm one as well. If you've got arm injuries, so the repetitive strain injuries being healed hugely with this. Um, so it, and I know that people, we know, so I've just got a couple of scarves in to play with, see what that is like. Does this work for you? You know, rather than a massive investment up front and taking our word for it, we'd like to give the opportunity to be able to experience and and play with the items, really. So I know, if you've got any scarves in stock at the moment.
I have. I have a few small bits. So there's I've got one of these stoles in the grey and
Okay,
white.
yeah,
But to be honest, the orders do ship in relatively quickly if
we're on it.
we're on it. Yeah.
So
what I do have is some of the long sleeve tops, beanies, hats.
Beanies. Yeah, one of them's mine.
Christmas presents for the
but I haven't
boys.
got it. No.
That's in an envelope. That's on its way. Waistbands. So this is made out of the blanket material.
Okay.
But that wraps around the kidneys or the stomach or, where you need it.
Yeah.
Just to support the organs. So it's nice as a back support if there's any back pain as well.
Sure.
So
there's a real comforting holding, like we were saying, when you have these close to you, it does feel kind. It feels really kind and gracious and healing and nurturing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's loads of testimonials from other people. Don't just take our word from it. Follow the links on neffel.uk, the new website. And ask us questions. We're here to help, here to serve you, and to bring through more health onto the planet, because we need it, and we need to be responsible for our own health too. So much now, so important. Have you got anything that you'd like to just finish up with, Nikki, before we go?
Two little things. So one, just this idea of protection. It just feels, you're talking about this in terms of sitting at the computer and so on. Like, a lot of my work now is online, and I couldn't have done that before. When I was writing my book, I'd end up with headaches at the end of every day, and the computer would affect me. And I can sit all day now. I can get through 4 or 5 clients online, and I'm okay. So it's doing something for sure, without question. So it's like a little layer of protection. And I just say practically, in terms of what's possible, if anyone is going, okay, yeah, I need this, I want this. Yes, please be aware it is pricey, but it's no more pricey than a high-end garment. And it also, so on our neffel.uk website, there's a link to the Malaysian website. So you can look on there in terms of all of the garments. There's some information there. There's some information on Nicholas's website as well, which is on the neffel.uk. So there's a link to that that shows you if you want to have a look at the testimonials, or they're called real stories of people. So there's more on science. If anyone does have a serious health condition and wants to understand the science a little bit more, that is something that Clara and I will do in terms of just understanding how it works, how it affects the body. So we can go through that in more of a kind of consultation type way. But that'll be about just email us, let's schedule that in, because sometimes it's about getting what works for you specifically in terms of whether it is, the guards on the acupuncture points and just how to use the garments. Because you have to know what you're doing with it, and you have to know how to work with it and how to treat it. So yeah, that they're useful on one level just for that general protection, health giving. But if you are working through a health care issue, then there is more information that we can give to you. So for now, have a look at the products, see what draws you. It's all in Malaysian ringgit, so
that's right. Yes.
So you can kind of convert and calculate and get a sense, and you can take 20% off that price if you're happy to become a member. And that just means you get a membership card. You give your ID, and you become kind of registered into the kind of Neffel process. But there's nothing that you need to do other than kind of sign up. And if you then wish to make an order, Clara and I and Rob are in the process. We're always like catching up of creating a document, a catalogue, e-type catalogue, which would be linked with this website, with all the garments and the UK prices. So that's a lot easier for you to navigate. And then we'll just find a way of putting those into the basket. We'll have to add in the cost of shipping, and then we're kind of good to go. So
brilliant. We've got a few
comments through that website.
Got a few comments coming through from Sabrina and from Charlene. And Charlene is saying that can products be shipped to the US? Absolutely. In fact, I think there is a US store, so we can put you in touch with somebody for that. If you want to go on to the neffel.uk and make your contact details, and then put a little message for us in there. Then we'll know which department just to send you to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Absolutely. And there are other places in the world as well that have headquarters, like Hong Kong and Malaysia and Singapore, and the US.
Taiwan as well.
In Taiwan, exactly. So
Yeah.
bringing it into the UK is actually bringing it into Europe. So anybody watching in European countries, yeah, to let us know if we can be of assistance here. And yeah, so Diane's saying fascinating. Thanks to both of you. Well, thank you for watching. Thanks to all of you for watching on the live and on the replay. I'm Clara Polo of Chi Time TV. And thank you so much to Nikki Gresham-Record for being here to share these divine items with you. May they serve you well. And we will see you very soon on the next episode of Chi Time. Thanks for